Hi guys, we're back today and again we are going to look at some game box protectors. Now if you've seen the previous video that I did based on things that were sent to me by the guys and girls and folks at gameboxprotector.co.uk, hopefully you've seen that video. If you've not, go back and check it out and you'll see some of the fantastic stuff that they produce. And they were nice enough to send me some stuff to look at a couple of months ago. So we had a look at that. We built some of the stuff on camera, gave my review of it, had a little look at it, and yeah, the response was really good. Similarly to that video, they've sent me some stuff to look at, and they said, you know, if viewers of the channel like it, pop on over to gameboxprotector.co.uk. Use the code, this sort of special code, which I'm going to make appear at the bottom of the screen, and you can get a nice discount, 10% off. And so yeah, so without further ado, let's look at some of the stuff that they've sent me. So the first thing we're going to take a quick look at is box protectors, these plastic box protectors for Atari 2600 games, the cartridges, and very similar to the plastic protectors for other ones, for other systems. These come flat packed with this sort of this cover on the front, which you have to take off yourself, and you have to assemble yourself. But luckily, these things are incredibly easy, in my opinion. Once you've done a couple of them, they're really easy to put together. I'm just going to give you a quick how-to now. So my advice would be sort of get all the static out of it and just sort of fold it all back on itself, really. So where it's sort of been folded down that way, we're going to fold across the lines, get those tabs sort of bent and folded in and out, just make them, work them a little bit loose, and that will make putting it together a whole lot easier. And once you've got the bottom in, we can flip it over and we're ready to put our cartridge in. Now, one thing I will sort of highlight is, these card boxes aren't getting any younger. This one for the 2600, late 80s. I think maybe this one's 1988, or maybe that's just when. I don't know, but it's old. It doesn't want to get any worse than the condition it's in now. So just be super careful when you're popping it in. Be aware that the flap, on the inside could sort of cause, what would you call that, abrasions to your box when you're putting it in. So, just be careful, or be as careful as you want to be. If you're not overly bothered, you just want to get it in something, then that's sort of entirely your choice. Actually, thinking back, one thing I did learn from previous, what did we, maybe on the previous videos, I was saying, you can sort of pop it in, and then, no, that doesn't work. That was something I tried to do and it didn't work. You can pop it in and just sort of try and get the flap over the box and popped in that way. But these boxes, they are pretty well made in my opinion. We've seen other really industrious ones available from companies that will grade your games. Struggle to get that down for you and put them in, really tightly sealed boxes of sort of a high quality. Are they like airproof? These are not that. Okay, so if water gets on these, it will still get in. I'm making a bit of a hash of this here. Let's go full blood, Peter, and just come back to the one I made earlier. If you would spill something on this, chances are water and liquid would still get in there. But when they're on the shelf, lined up, and let's pretend that I've got that one sealed, they're going to do okay. Yeah, nothing's going to sort of cause further damage to your cases. So, sort of moving swiftly on to something that perhaps doesn't need too much protection, but it's quite nice to have them in the box protectors anyway, are these double game cases. Now, I know that this is 2 single ones in a double cassette. I'm very well aware of that. I couldn't lay my hands right now, just at this moment in time, on one game that comes in the full double case. It's typical. You see a copy of Shaolin's Road hanging around for ages on the shelf, and then you go and try and find it, and it's gone. That's the game that I was going to use, but never mind. So, similar to the Atari case, we can just pop the plastic off, fold the cases back on itself, and once you've made those initial folds, it's quite easy. Try and stay on camera. It's quite easy, he says, to get those in. It takes, well, it's not the easiest thing in the world, especially if you're like me, all fingers and thumbs. There we go. But once it's in, it's in. Okay, and just sort of re-pinching, or just sort of give it that extra bit of consistency, stability, and any other itty words. And then we can just go ahead and pop our case in. And like, you know, we've mentioned before, the plastic cases already have an air of durability to them, but doesn't mean we can't pop them in protectors anyway. If you were going to go on perhaps and sell these at a market or a fair, you might want them in these plastic cases to stop you know, people getting the mucky fingerprints all over them, perhaps people slyly opening them and taking their cases out, taking the games out. So yeah, we've got the double cassette. Right, moving swiftly on. We're going to do, let's do a twofer. We're going to do 2 for 1, because another thing that the guys and girls and the folks over at Game Box Protector have sent is the full sort of works for SNES and some other systems that we'll look at in a moment. So not only do we have the plastic protectors, we've got replacement inserts that the cartridges sit in. Now this is my original one, which has started to yellow a bit. If I'm honest, it's actually not in that bad a condition. It's just the one that I had to hand. So when you order the inserts, just like the plastic ones, they come flat packed. Self-assembly is required, and you end up with your very own insert. Now, the caveat, the crux. These, in my opinion, the plastic ones are easy to put together. These are not, in my opinion. Okay, I found it quite difficult to put together. And there are the 2 reasons why. Number 1, I'm not very good at sort of foldy craft work. The other thing is, some of these bits are glued down. They have to stay glued down, something which I'm not good at sometimes, keeping things glued down. But I'll give you sort of I'll try my best to give you a quick demo of how these go together. So, similarly to the plastic ones, we're going to fold ourselves sort of on ourselves. But with these Super Nintendo ones, once you've folded it over once, you kind of have to get behind it and pop it out a little bit. And this is where I struggled, because there's a tab that's glued down here, and that has to stay glued down. But you have to sort of fold that over like that to give it this raised up bit. So once you've sort of got it to there, you're all right. So we're kind of halfway there, as Bon Jovi once said. So maybe once you've done 2 or 3 of these, you start to get a bit of a knack. Perhaps you could sort of fashion yourself a little tool to push behind there and open them out. I don't know, that's up to you. We pop the flaps in, and then it's onto this side. And again, what I recommend doing is folding these first so that they're a bit more malleable. Remember, these have come off some sort of press, some sort of machine. And once you've got all those folds in place, it sort of just folds in on itself, and by the power of voodoo, sits and sticks together. It's just about making sure those sort of folds are nice and crisp. I mean, again, how crisp you want them is up to you. And again, this is all personal preference. You know, you might be happy with your carts loose, with the original ones just in the box flapping around. It's personal preference, same as everything. Yeah, you know, don't go and try and sell it as complete when you've put a replacement in. That's not cool. But if you've not got one and you want to put it in your box for a bit of stability, just for a bit of, you know, self-completion, then fill your boots. So how does it compare to the original? Well, you know, it sort of rattles around in the original. It rattles around in the replacement one. I think it's okay, isn't it? Let's face it. You can't really make it any more attractive. It is what it is. The proof and the punch is, does it fit in an original box? Well, yes, it does. It doesn't wobble around too much. And especially when you've got that instruction manual in there, it seems okay. If you're looking to get some replacements, inserts, you could do a lot worse. I'm going to put mine back in the original one for now, because I'm going to show you the second part of the pieces that they've sent, and that is box protectors. Again, same as with all the other ones that we've looked at, they come flat packed. Same as all the other ones we've looked at, incredibly easy to assemble. This is one of the things I really enjoy about these plastic box protectors. Actually, I find it quite relaxing, quite cathartic building these. Maybe because I know that the outcome is going to be good. I know that once they're on the shelves, it's going to sort of make my collection snap into life. I think they look really snazzy. Just also that my games are protected and will last for years to come. So again, just going to make sure that all those folds are done and are in place. And like I've said before, you know, the edges on these are quite sharp. Sharp, not in a you're going to cut yourself on the actual edges, but excuse me, they could be quite abrasive. It doesn't help that I can't quite see right because we've got very little light at the minute. However, if I put a light on, it casts that awful shadow, which I've still not fixed. Anyway, I digress. We want to make sure that all these flaps are under each other because, like I was just saying, they are quite sharp, and what you don't want to do is sort of ruin those edges as you're popping them in, and it's, you know, on you to be as careful with these as you possibly can. I was just thinking, it's just popped into my head. Is that going to get me a copyright strike? I wonder if that'll pick up. We'll see. And there we go. So, yeah, that bit there is something I wish I could fix. That's not on the protector, that's on my box. That is a piece of sellotape that younger me put on. What a fool. Anyway, so yeah, so we've got our Super Nintendo box protector and those inserts. And like I said, those inserts, not the easiest thing to put together. You might find them a lot easier, okay? I find them quite difficult. But hey ho, that's just me. On a similar vein, they've sent me some inserts for the N64 cartridges. Now, unfortunately, I don't have any boxed N64 games. I only have loose cartridges. So I can't really show you how snugly these fit in the box. However, what I can quickly show you again is the inserts. The cartridges fit really well in these inserts. Similarly to the Super Nintendo cartridge, these are a bit of a pain to put together. What I want to show you is some of these flaps on the inside. I just completely just destroyed them when trying to unfold. I managed to keep one together, yeah. But this is something you'll probably, in time, after you've done a couple of these, perhaps, or maybe you'll just get lucky. Maybe it's just me that's quite sort of ham-fisted with these things. But yeah, putting them together is a bit tricky. And starting off as well, knowing sort of which bits to do first, can be a bit sort of tricky, shall we say. Essentially what you have to do is try and open it up and fold it in on itself without any of the things becoming unglued like that. There we go. So that's one that's become unglued straight away. Actually, once that one became unglued, the whole thing actually goes together a lot easier. So if you're finding you're struggling, maybe a bit of putting a bit of glue back on it. It's not the end of the world. Let's face it. It is only card and glue. So, my opinion, tricky, not impossible. A bit of practice, and perhaps not being as heavy-handed as I am. There we go. And once everything's in place, it generally stays there. And let's face it, your cartridge is going to be in there anyway, holding those things in place. Yeah, like I said, they're tricky. Not impossible. You're probably going to need some spares. Similarly, they've sent me some replacement Game Boy Advance inserts to look at. Now, the insert that came with this game that I've got, this Super Mario Advance, had this type of insert with it. And it's been a long time since I had another boxed. I had a load of Game Boy Advance games, sold them stupidly years ago. And I can't remember if it's like a Mandela effect, whether I actually remember ever seeing an insert like this. I'm genuinely not sure. But that being said, these ones aren't too bad. They fit in, they hold the case. What more would you want? As with the N64 cartridges, they're a bit tricky to get together, okay? We've got some flaps that are glued down, that have to stay glued down. So as you're building it, it's sort of a case of trying to get it all to unfold, move all at the same time, without unsticking anything, and trying to get everything to sort of fold as one while multiple bits are moving all at the same time. And again, it can be quite tricky. And what you might end up sort of finding is that if a part becomes unstuck, you may just have to stick it back down. Yeah, it's not the end of the world. It's not like a piece of plastic is sort of snapping off, or you know, any irreparable damage is being done. But once you've done a couple of them, you might find that it becomes a little easier. Now, one thing that bugs me a little bit is, and again, I can't remember if I bought these little plastic cases third party, or whether games do come loose like this, but if you've got plastic cases for your games, they don't fit in. Okay, the game has to be naked, for want of a better phrase. Like I said, I can't remember offhand. Feel free to drop me a comment and let me know if the games come naked like that. I can't see why somebody would design one not to be factory accurate, but the cases fit in the one that came with this. So, yeah, there we go. Do they fit in the box? Yes. There's a bit of wiggle room there. They do fit in. At least they're not too big. There's a bit of wiggle room. So, there we go. My opinion, they're all right. If you're desperate to get an insert back in your box just to sort of give it a bit of stability, but if you can live without it, it's up to you, isn't it? Really, they're quite tricky to put together, but once you've got them together, actually they do feel quite stable. Also, yes, I'm aware that that's Mario Kart and that's Mario Advance. I just grabbed the box, grabbed the game off the shelf. And then last, but certainly not least, is the inserts for the traditional Game Boy game, the DLG 001. And again, I just grabbed this copy of Super Breakout that I got a while ago now. It's an interesting looking box, isn't it? And even more interesting was the insert that came with it. I'm not quite sure what this stain is, but hey ho. And I know with the Game Boy there's a myriad of different inserts. There was the plastic ones, etc. But we're looking at sort of replacing this insert because it matches the one that I've been sent, and sort of from a design point of view, it looks very similar. And again, I know this is a different game cartridge. However, the main sort of bugbear for me is that cartridges don't fit. You have to sort of, you just can't fit them in. If you want the game to go in, it has to be naked, which in this instance is not good. So that doesn't fit, which is really annoying, if I'm honest, because you want your games to stay inside the plastic cartridge cases, even if they're in the box. But such is life. And again, similar to all the other things we've looked at, in fact, I've just completely destroyed that one. I was just going to say they're quite tricky to put together without destroying them, and I've destroyed it. But we'll carry on putting it together just for sort of prosperity's sake. It's got the fold lines in generally, so you can sort of give it that fold, and then the idea being that these here should fold up and inside, and they should sort of clip in place and hold it all together. It's a bit of a, it's not the best, if I'm honest. I could go over it with a hot glue gun and stick them down. I might just pop this in one of my empty boxes just to give it a bit of extra shape. But like I say, it doesn't fit the cartridge inside the case. So for me, not really ideal. So I hope you've enjoyed watching that one today. Like I said, we've had a mixed bag, and I'm really grateful to the guys and girls over at Gamebox Protector. I've not been paid to do this, okay? They've sent me the stuff to have a look at, and I'm going to be fortunate enough to be able to keep it, to look after the stuff that's in my collection, but I've not been paid to do this. I'm just really grateful for them to give me the opportunity to to create some content for the channel. So if you did enjoy this video on that sort of vein, make sure you give us a thumbs up and a subscribe and all that. And drop us a comment. Let us know if you've bought anything from the website, and let us know what you thought of it. There is another video with products, showing products from these guys. So check that out. Visit their website. Yeah, I'll put it somewhere here or maybe here. Actually, it's there as well, isn't it? But www.gameboxprotector.co.uk. You can use my code to get yourselves 10% off. And yeah, keep an eye out for future vids and whatnot. And have a nice day.